and welcome back, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch and YouTube. And lately the variety's been, is he going to be on or not? So I apologize for that. It has been a little bit since the last stream. Fix my monitor. But how's it going, Martin? Welcome on in. Hey, Da Vinci, how's it going? Oops, give me a second to flip my lights on because they did not turn on. I was planning on streaming Thursday. However, we had multiple power outages. So I'm not sure exactly what was happening. There was I got some statements from my power company saying, oh, there was some damage there was trees down, all kinds of stuff. I couldn't tell if it was storm damage or if it was the heat that was going on here in North Carolina that caused things to blow or what have you. But I could not verify that the stream was going to stay up, so I chose not to try and stream. Hey, Alex, how's it going? Welcome in. Hey, Jedi Spidey, how's it going? I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well down there in Vietnam. Doing well there. Let me pull that chat window out. So how's everybody doing? Alex, I did not stream, or we didn't have our game last night, and I was going to try and join in on the stream, but once again, it was a little hit or miss. So we didn't have our regular D&D game last night. One of our players, actually the DM, had gallbladder surgery, I believe, and I believe they took the whole thing. So he was not willing to come down and hang out. But a couple people did since we were out the week before for MRRFs. Long story short, I wanted to be there. I couldn't. I did pop in for a bit and listen, but had to jump back out again. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, how's it going? Thank you, buddy. Thank you. So yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. We need a D&D Discord game. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, a lot going on here at the shop. Dang it, I went to grab something. Let me grab something. Because this was a print that finished right after we got back from MRRF. The last parts were finished. And then we're working on the Mandalorian and Grogu, or excuse me, the child, right now, but I think everybody's really going to get like this. So we've got a Razor Crest, and as you can tell, compared to me, she's pretty big. And this is the standard size. I was kind of taken back when I realized how big this thing was. This is a Titan 3D model of the Razor Crest, and this thing is freaking awesome. It is printed in Bamboo Labs Basic Gray and Sunflower Yellow for the striping. It probably would have looked a little bit better if I did it in Chrome, but me and Chrome have a love-hate relationship. I love the look of it, but I hate the fact that large prints fail in Silk Chrome. So the asset, yep. And so then the other thing is we had a print failure. And this particular print, now mind you, I think it's 4 walls and like 4 or 5% infill. But This is the top half of Grogu, and it takes 28 hours to print. And as you can see, we had a whoopsie because I was expecting it to stop and tell me filament out, refill. And I was helping Mrs. Dragon with something, and I looked over and was like, you got to be kidding me. So it went from EPAC's light brown, which I'm doing for the, for his little outfit, well, like coat, whatever it is, robe, to the pastel mint, which is what I was using for his head. And so, yeah, and it is, you know, they do hollow it out a lot, but 28 hours. So I'm starting that one over. Grogu's probably going to be about that tall when he's done. And then Mando's going to be even taller. So we got those prints going on. I did a little TikTok earlier today showing some of those prints going on the printer. And then we're back at it with another build. So as most of you know, we were working on the Rat Rig V-Core 4 400 for A Bit Nuts. That printer has made it back to its owner. It is huge, Jedi Spidey. It is huge. You just started Yoshi. Yoshi takes a bit of filament, and Yoshi's nose just seems so big. But then when you put Yoshi's nose on Yoshi, it looks like it's the right size. It just seems so big when you're printing it. You're like, what am I printing here? But yeah. So yeah, we're doing a lot of printing projects. We're doing the Mandalorian. We're doing the Child, aka Grogu, right now. So we got both of those going on. If you saw the TikTok earlier, Mrs. Dragon is learning more and more. So she's now done maintenance on the Elegoo Centauri carbons, the X1Cs, the P1Ss. We had some A1s come in that she just went through and did tune-up preventive maintenance on. So she's learning how to go in and work on all of those things. And then, I'm sorry, the Rat Rig went back home. I had been fielding some questions most of the week. Not in a bad way from A Bit Nuts, but more along the lines of not used to using Prusa Slicer. So trying to understand Prusa Slicer, understanding, you know, the workflow of an IDEX, right? Because this is his first IDEX. So we were going over a lot of that. And then we've been working a lot in this back room this way. And do this. So there's a room back here. So in this back room here, there is, right to the right is the resin room. We've got all the insulation up now and got another rack in there that we've moved some stuff in. And then all the way in the back, and I'll have to do a little TikTok post video or something, we're building a dedicated D&D gaming table in the back room. And right now it's all built out of aluminum extrusion. And we used 3D Fuel PCTG that has been annealed to do a lot of the printed frame pieces to join some of the stuff together so that we can take the legs out of the table rather easily and flip it up on its side if we're going to take it places. But the whole premise of this table is there's going to be large LCD TV mounted in the table that we're going to be able to use for all of our maps. We use one today just sitting on some folding tables when we do our gaming, but this way we can do custom maps and we can have effects and everything when we do our D&D gaming. And then you will see the next project over here that I'm working on. This machine has been taking up space in the back room for quite a while. And this is another one from our good friend Lomax, Michael Lomax from Fan Hills 3D. So this is a Folgertech FT-6. Okay. And let's jump over here and I'll show you a little bit about the Folgertech and what we got here. Oh, well, that worked out well. Supposed to be the browser. Let's do it this way. Got to try and remember my views again. Okay, so this is our Folgertech FT-6. So this machine is 720 by 350 by 400 build volume. So it's 720 left to right. That is the x-axis. And then 350 front to back, the y-axis. So the gantry technically rides the y-axis, I believe. And it's got a 700 watt, 24 volt power supply, dual Y motor. So apparently, no, X would be the gantry still, Y would be the long axis. Yeah. So this was picked up secondhand by Sandhills, and we were going to try and graft a the Orbiter 3 tool head onto it, and we're taking a while. Sandhills was doing some CAD work to try and get that going, and I was like, listen, I kind of need the space and need this out of the shop. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these files by Diffusa. Okay. So this is his upgrades that he created for himself and then made available to use as a production grade printer. All right. So as you can see, we have a tool head here. Not a lot's changing here. It's a tool head, the motion system, so it replaces the XY joiners. So everything on this FT-6 is ACM panel. Okay, so that's aluminum composite material. So it's 2 thin sheets of aluminum glued onto plastic innards, and it does make it pretty rigid as far as where those are at. So the deck panels are relatively light but rigid. Same thing for the build plate. So what this is it's not a full deck panel. There's like cross-cut cutouts on the deck panel that the build plate sits on, but there's vertical uprights that go the full length that provide support to prevent it sagging in the middle. So it should be pretty good. Yeah, some super nerd stuff. So what we did is we printed the left and right XY joints. We've got the belt clamps. We've got the See, this is what's throwing me off, is he says Y motor mount, but it's actually the gantry motor mount, the idler, and then there's a upper support piece and some spacers. So I went ahead and took the unsupported, so the motors mount over here coming from underneath. And then this side over here is a bearing stack that is unsupported by nature, right? It's a screw going through the bearing stack with a lock nut underneath. So what I've got is this crossbar, or this cross piece here that comes out, mounts to the frame, and it gives it support top and bottom. And I went ahead and put these together and then realized I'm gonna have to take them apart, move the spacer that I have underneath up top. And the reason I have to do that is this currently has a 6mm belt bearing on it, or GT2 6mm tooth idler for the idler bearings. And this gentleman's upgrade is for supports either 9mm or 10mm belts. So I was like, darn it. And while I've got some idlers or pulleys for the motors that'll work, I don't have idlers, so I ordered some of those. So I'll have new idlers, some additional pulleys coming in because I was pulling them from another planned project, and some more 9mm belt coming in, and we'll be able to belt those long axes. The tool head, see what else we have here, miscellaneous. Some anchor points for the chain. So you'll see, or maybe, let me go long screen. Bench side. So we did have a rather thick chain up here for the tool head and for this Y-axis. What they do is they have this riser here, and a chain will mount here, and there will be another fixed chain in the back. And so this is going to allow the chain movement up and down. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that mounted as well, and that's going to allow us to go to a smaller chain, similar to like we would see on like a V0, because really the only thing that we're going to have there is the gantry motor and then a CAN bus or USB cable, depending on which tool head board. Now the tool head that he has here, and I want to open this up and kind of show it off, is pretty interesting. So it's got a 40 something, so we're going to use a 4028 like we did on the rat rig fan here for part cooling. The rail is mounted on the underside of the gantry versus the normal FT-6 would be on the top. And then we've got a orbiter going down into a bamboo style hot end. Okay, so that's it. Orbiter, bamboo style hot end. So this right here is the mount. So the orbiter goes here, motor coming off this way, and the front of the extruder facing this way. And we have a spot here for 2 hex nuts. And here's the 2 bolts that'll go through that'll secure our tool head. Everything is well constrained down the middle there. And the nice thing is you take out these 2 screws and you can lift this whole thing out of the tool head if you need to work on your extruder or hot end. So it's very easy to work on. You just take 2 screws out and you can pop the whole top of the tool board or the hot end and extruder out. So if you get a clog or a jam, it should be relatively easy to work on. Now his design here is for an EBB 36. I don't have one. That would be CAN bus. That is something that is definitely doable. We've got a octopus board in there now. We're going to use a Big Tree Tech Pi because, well, we can. He has one. It takes 24 volts. That'll make our life easier as far as dealing with power and everything. I don't know if we'll be able to use the existing screen or not. We'll see if we can. But yeah, we're working to get this up and running. And eventually, all of the ACM panels you see here, we want to replace with Plexi or something because he wants this to be usable as an enclosed printer for printing larger ABS or ASA parts. Which should be quite doable. Right now, I will tell you that the only thing I dislike about this printer design, you know, I really like the build volume. The build volume is great. It's meant to be open air, which you can do a lot of things open air with this. The main downside that I see with this design, and it's hard to tell, these ACM panels are not just for looks, okay? There are corner brackets at the top joint, but what there isn't is any type of bracketry here. So all of these gantry bars that make up the gantry level are actually held in place with the corner panels of the ACM, okay? So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to CAD up corner brackets or CAD up. I'm going to print some corner brackets to put in here and actually be able to do at least this corner, so this corner, this corner, this corner down here, and possibly up underneath to make it as rigid as possible so that we can remove those ACM panels down the road and add in, you know, whatever we're going to use for the outer covering on this. Hey, Tinkering Techie, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We're just looking at the Folgertech FT-6 here. This is the machine that Sandhills 3D or Lomax had brought in. This has been here since we opened the store. Just to give you an idea how long this machine has been here. Okay, like I said, he was trying to graft on a tool head that I sold him, and it's just taken him a while to CAD it because he's working on other stuff, which you know, that's fine, but I told him, I was like, hey, these are already ready to go. It uses a bamboo hot end, which is a great hot end. In fact, what we're going to put in it is a Fetus conch. This is actually out of the Jabberwocky kit, so it has connectors more friendly. Normal conchs will have the like P1 or X1 connectors. This particular conch has ferrule connectors for the power, and then a different JST connector here. And this is made to work with the Nighthawk SB, or no, Nighthawk 36 board. So I may look, as long as it'll mount up to the mounting bosses on this hot end or the tool head board, I think I'm going to go that route and just mount that up. Because we're already plumbed for, I think we were already plumbed, no, we were plumbed for an O2S board. So I might have to just verify the pin outs, but we should be good there. yes, he was tinkering techie, and I had to reach out to him and just say, hey, I'm going to go this route. I've already got the parts printed. So basically, I was looking at building one of these from scratch. The only thing about this machine that's relatively hard is the bed mounts. And there's DXF files out there to build that bed carriage. It would just be trying to get the custom bed made for it. Okay, so that would be the only thing that would suck to try and find is one of those beds. It is a mains powered bed. Okay, 720 by 350 mains powered. So that's relatively easy, but that's not bad. We just have to get we'd have to get the bed custom made and the top made. So it was all doable, and then we decided to go the other route of why build it when why cut and build and everything from scratch when we can just do a Venture XL. So we're waiting on the Venture XL still to come into Fabrico, so we can get one of those shipped out to us. Also, talking about other projects, we're about to go on a journey, and that journey is going to involve printing about 101 build plates of parts. And if you know what that number signifies, you know what the project is. And if you know what that build plate number signifies, throw it in chat. To the center of the earth. Nope. Not to the center of the earth. It's a single 3D printed project. It's about 580 something parts and across about 101 build plates. So we're going to be working on this. I'm going to start working on trying to build up the tool head here tonight while we chat, because it's really, did I say really simple? You've got an orbiter and you've got a tool head. And like I said, it all slips right down in there, and your words on stream again. Your power wires and everything just go right over to a tool head board. So it's not like it's going to be too crazy. The only thing that might suck is there's the orbiter. There's the little pigtail. There's no way that that is going to make it down to where it needs to go on the tool head board probably. So I am looking at an EBB6 up. Let me grab a Nighthawk 36. Funny how I just seem to have a bunch of Like I said, we pulled that hot end out of a Jabberwocky kit. I've got one Jabberwocky built over there. I need to rebuild it using the latest version of the files. There were a lot of upgrades to it, but we'll have to check that out and see if that's something that we like. Then the other thing we need to look at on here is just to make sure where the so yeah, it's relatively the same. So on the, go back to the main view now. So on the board here, right, it's kind of the same way it shows. So here's your inlet, and rather than it being the 4-pin microfit for a CAN bus, this is the XT32+2. And then right here, so downward facing would be the motor wire for this. Still, there's no way that that's going to make it up and over, whoops, up and over, down and around. So we will have to use the extension cable that comes in the kit to extend that out some. It just sucks that we'll have to extend it out some. I guess I could potentially look at the motor and see if I've got a pancake 36 millimeter pancake motor with a long tail that I can just replace this, but it has to have the right tooth count on the spur gear. Curious wiring up 2 of those boards earlier? I wonder whatever for. So the large scale print project I am referring to is the Unimog. Down and out, over and under, wrapped around the dock, the doohickey. Yeah, exactly. Wrapped around and under. I'll feel like I'm doing the over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Yeah. So we'll extend this out or potentially just look at, see if I have a different set of, or a different motor with the right spur count that I can swap out. But we'll work on that here. So what we're going to be doing, and let me see if I can pull that up. Once again, it's so fun when you can just hit, right, come here and we just do one letter, K. And it comes up to 3D, one of our lovely channel sponsors. So, and he doesn't have it listed here yet. Whoop, there it is. Dun, dun, dun. Pre-order of the LDO MOG full RC truck kit. So, there's a bunch of red text. Yeah, it's on pre-order. I believe it's supposed to come in around June or later this month. There's 2 versions. There's a complete kit at $499.99 or a light kit for $339. The light kit does not come with the battery or the remote control and all that good stuff. But it still comes with all the hardware to assemble it. What it doesn't come with is the receiver, the transmitter, the receiver, and the battery pack and the battery charger. There's a couple of things that doesn't come. But this is what we will be building. Okay, you can build this kit in a 6x6 version or a 4x4 version. You can do the flatbed, or you can do the camper shell and do like the overland camper. But I will tell you this, they had one of these at the LDO booth. The tailgate or bed area here, they had a death racer on it, and they were running it around with the death racer on it. Okay? So this is a pretty beefy machine. It does come with the tires, so you don't have to buy the tires or mold your own or whatever. But yeah, this is going to be awesome. AW and F know exactly where I want to go. Unfortunately, D goes to Google Drive. Oh, I got you. There you go. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty hefty build. Like I said, hardware, cables, all of that. Oh, why it's not scrolling the rest of the way. But, you know, you'll get the batteries. You'll get your transmitter, tires, and everything else that you'll need to get this kit together. All of the sites, I say all of the Triad has it, right? So KB3D, West 3D, Fabrico have these kits on pre-order. I will tell you that I got a preview before this went live on their site. So I was able to grab mine because I was talking to Chris at the show saying, I want. Why don't you have the pre-order? And he said, for reasons. But as soon as he found out the quantity that was being shipped to him, then he went ahead and opened the pre-orders. So once again, affiliate codes down in the video links and stuff. There should be video or affiliate codes to KB3D and West 3D. So if you want to go to either one of those, that would be great. Now, the other thing that I will say is the STL files are sold separately by Casidio. So you have to go over to their website to their Colts or You Imagine, and they're around $50 on either one of the sites. So you will have to go over and get these files. I have downloaded them already. It is a gig worth of files, zipped. So once again, you're going to be printing for a while. All right, and I'm probably going to, I've got the manual now. I'm going to start looking through it, and I think we start off with the undercarriage, so I'll start printing from the bottom up, basically. The undercarriage of this is most likely going to be in either Folgertech ASA glass filled or Folgertech PET CF. Not PET G, but PET CF. That'll be printing at like 320. So yeah, that is my overall intent for that build, is to do the Folgertech PET. And then, see what else. We got that project. We got the Folgertech we're working on. Excuse me. We got the Stealth Changer. We still need to go. Thanks, Tinkering Techie, for giving me access to your GitHub with all your files. That is going to come in major handy. So thank you very much for that. And then, yeah, once the Venture XL comes in, we'll have that build to work on as well. One of the other things, if you saw the TikTok video this morning or this afternoon, you will know that we have started the swap out of our Elegoo Centauri carbons. They've got lots of hours on them, but they've been great workhorses. We're going to do a full tune-up on them, make sure that they're in tip-top shape, and we will be selling them for about $200 each. So if you're interested in solid workhorses, like I said, they're great machines. We love having them in the back for our print farm. It's just we're in the process of swapping everything over to Folgertech Q2s for a number of reasons. One, it has a built-in heater. Two, we don't sell Elegoo, but we do sell Key, and we love the Keys. So you'll be updating the toolhead config file soon, since you rebuilt the gantry with Batali CNC parts. Thus, the docks and toolhead offsets have all changed. Fair. I'll say fair, and that's something that I would calibrate anyhow based on my machine and the number of toolheads. So yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, there's what's been going on around the shop. My intent is to print this thing and kind of do the build live stream, but also potentially do the build during maker meetups. While, it's the summertime, we can get a lot of the RC folks in here, and go over this build with us. I think it's going to be fun. And I think with a lot of the RC guys that we have here, they start seeing this. And I might even be able to get my hands on some of the kits to resell. So yeah, other things from MRRF, as many of you have probably found out over the last week, MRRF is no longer, but don't worry. So what I mean by MRRF is no longer, the organizers of the Midwest Rep Rap Festival are officially retiring, and they are passing the torch over to MakerHive, who is, long story short, part of MRRF getting kicked off and turning into what it is today. So the story that was relayed was they decided it was going to be basically a hangout, kind of like Alex does at his garage sometimes, right? It was going to be a hangout. Who wants to get together and come hang out? You know, here's the little registration, send an email or whatever so we can get food. And they wound up having almost 300 people sign up. He's like, there's no way this is going to be held in my garage. That's kind of how MRRF got started. And MakerHive helped with space in the early years to get it started. MakerHive is taking over. They're going to have a few more people to help out. So hopefully we'll start getting a little bit more marketing around the event. I will tell you that I was very happy with the layout this year. They had the air-conditioned area for all of the vendors, and the overflow of people setting up maker tables was in the older building. The only difference was it was a bit of a walk. But over in the other building, they had an indoor setup for death racers. They still had to do drag racers outside, and they just did like exhibition runs. There was only like 4 of them that were there. But they had not 1, not 2, but 3 actual BattleBot arenas set up this year. And they were going through the whole show. They were running BattleBots through the whole show. So that was really, really cool. Yes, A Bit Nuts Rat Rig got dropped off successfully. So we got there late Friday night, and a lot of people were worried that we weren't coming because we weren't there for setup, we weren't having a table, and we didn't make it in time for Friday Chili's, right? So turning into a tradition that Friday nights after pack-in, about 7 p.m., everybody heads over and goes to Chili's. We couldn't make it. We didn't even get into town until almost 9 p.m. that night. So we didn't make it out to Chili's. So Saturday morning, we were able to pull in and actually backed into the spot right in front of A Bit Nuts. And we enlisted some help of a passerby to help pick up the rat rig and move it into their minivan. And we got it all in there and made it home safely. So it was about a 4-hour drive. So they drove down, they stayed at the show for a few hours and then drove back. And I've been answering some questions throughout the week. And then Friday we did a couple of Discord calls and talked through some of the stuff about doing the calibration. How often do you need to do calibration? And the answer is you have to do XY offset calibration every time you do an IDEX print. So you do that calibration, then you start the print, because we're dealing with stepper motors, not closed loop motors. Okay? If you have closed loop motors, they will account for missteps or what have you. On standard steppers, you can't do that. So, you know, tool changers too. technically you should validate XY offsets every so often on a tool changer. It's just good practice. Stuff drifts over time. So we got him up and running, I believe. I'll be checking in with the bit nuts. He is not shy about calling and checking in as well, so that's pretty good. So happy that that got done. Happy that that's back over to him and that he has got it up and running and functional. I love seeing machines go back out into the wild. I'm looking forward to seeing the FT-6 print as well. I think that's going to be a great one to watch as it runs. I mean, in essence, we're pretty close to this with the RIF 600 build. Once again, that's 300, a little over 300 by 600 build volume, so pretty close. Sorry. Pretty close to the same type of build size. Same here. Not sure what that's in relation to, Alex, but as far as the distance, I don't know. But it was great. In fact, I was about this close. He's still mad at me that I let somebody else come and buy it because I was standing there when they did it. But Alex had asked me, because Alex took a bus there, and he had asked me if I would be willing to transport a printer back if he brought a printer. And there was a Anycubic Cobra S1, not one, but two Ace Pro units. And it sold for $300 right towards the end of Sunday. And Alex was going to buy that and asked if I would go a little bit out of the way and drop it off at his house. I would beat him, so I wouldn't talk to Alex at his house and hang out at the garage any. We would have just dropped it off with his wife and went on our merry way, but things did not work out. Now, interestingly enough, there was an FT-5 at the show that somebody was selling. So we were looking at the Folgertech FT-6. Ooh. And I just found some all listed as really. I think I found some information that I've been looking for. That's good. So the FT-5, the FT-5 is a 300, 400 build volume machine. Come over here. So I'm not sure if it was a a base FT-5 or an FT-5 R2. But it is a, let's see, dual Y and Z motors with linear rail, XY movement, aluminum headed, blah, 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 blah. So 300, 400, 360 watt, 12 volt, easy enough to swap out. Dual Y and Z motors, linear rails on X and Y. Not sure if this is a Cartesian setup or a, it does say Cartesian. So it is a Cartesian setup on these. But I mean, $250 for an open frame, 300, 400. Not bad. It's a project, right? And it's a project that could have made a home here, but I walked by and I glanced left and Mrs. Dragon was right there with me at this point and just said, no. I said, okay. Kept on walking by. Couldn't get information for what time the Hangout Sunday was. Closed loop is a whole new level of fun. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so next year, MRRF is going to be run by the Maker Hive. I think the folks that are retiring out are going to be there and are going to be helping out on the sidelines to make sure that the transition is good, but they're stepping away from daily operations, so to speak. So yeah, the rat rig got there safely. MRRF, as we know, it's dead because MRRF is trademarked, I believe, or copyrighted by the original people. So the name's going to change, which isn't necessarily bad because most people don't know what RepRap means, right? The RepRap was at the very beginning of 3D printing. I do that. So RepRap was at the very beginning of 3D printing before we really had kits. Everybody was building things from bill of materials and very, very rough guides. And now we've got, you know, commercial 3D printers in abundance, all different price ranges, capabilities. We've got things like the Folgertech that are still running around. You know, and people at the shows are not just 3D printers, right? We have people with lasers. We had Morpho there, which is bringing out a machine to compete against the Eufy make as a UV resin or a UV printer, but it also is a 3D printer, so you can 3D print an object and then print a multicolor image on it right in the same workflow, right? Which is going to be crazy. So you had things like that. I spent a lot of time Sunday afternoon, and I wish, like, I could have spent the entire show sitting there talking with, I'm sorry, these kids. They're all kids to me. They're probably, you know, mid-20s. Unlayered 3D, okay? 5-axis machine printing at the show. Free Heathen Workshop was sitting right next to them, gave them a like a larger scale miniature that he designed, and they reprinted it in 5-axis with 0 supports at the show. It was crazy. There's been several 5-axis machines out there that go to shows, right? All right, sounds good, Eagle. Have a good night. Some of the drawbacks, besides all of the custom machine parts and no available kits, is getting the files ready for printing, right? There's no 5-axis consumer grade slicers. They have to slice the file and then run 1 or more post-processing steps and then run that on the printer. They've got their own fork of Orca slicer. It literally takes a little bit longer to slice, but it's all done in Orca slicer. So your workflow doesn't change much. You bring in your object, you slice it, send it to the printer, and print. And to me, that's the golden piece that's been missing, right? They're still looking at whether it's going to be a kit or a pre-built, and they'll both have their supply chain and shipping issues, right? So you're going to have to figure that stuff out. But having the workflow match what people are already doing, that's the kicker. To me, that's been the part that a lot of people pull back from, is when you're starting to have to deal with loading these Python modules, running these Python scripts, and doing stuff outside of the normal workflow. That's where people get daunting or put off by it. So tried to see if the Green Gate folks wanted to sell you a bamboo cheap Sunday night. Probably not. You might have been able to get, I know Chris had another Prusa Mark III there. You won a 50% off coupon for Creality's Pika scanner. Nice. Very nice. And the Pika, is that the one for doing like heads and stuff? I'm trying to remember. I think the Pika is the one that they're really looking at, like doing heads. I don't think it does full body very well, but I think it's heads or just small objects. I'm trying to remember the Pika. I think I have, there's some maker chip for a Mark III printer. 3 years, every show now. There you go. Of course, it comes up to all of their whole thing. Scanner. Moon, otter, ferret. Is the Pika not released yet? Doesn't look like it's released yet. It is not. Okay, okay, that makes more sense then. I was trying to pull it up. Yeah, that, I know I've seen some content on it, and I never got over to Yuri's booth to talk to him about it. But yeah. I love that you won the opportunity to give them money. Well, but you only have to give them half of the money, not all of the money. So, you know, I mean, like I said, you know, we will be printing and building a Unimog, right? I specifically told Chris because West 3D had it on pre-order, Fabrico had it on pre-order. I went straight to Chris and I was like, Chris, why don't you have this on pre-order? It says you should have it. And he said, I'm not putting the listing out until I get confirmation of how many are being shipped to me. Right? And I was like, oh, okay. So then I get a couple days later, I get a direct message from him on Discord with the listing. I'm like, dude, you're killing me. But got one over on him, right? Sort of. So, you know, there's a price for this. It's not cheap. There's a lot in it. This full kit does come with the remote, the battery charger, and all that. There's a light kit that's like $340 that doesn't have the remote, the battery, or the battery charger. All right, but it has everything to physically build it. You just bring your own remote. But when I say Chris has been supporting me for over 3 years now, I've had an affiliate code with him for over 3 years now. I turned in $300 of affiliate voucher. So it wasn't as bad. When I make comments about putting his son through college, I mean it. I spend a good deal there. I spend a good deal there. But every once in a while, you save up for the right moment. You need one of those, but you need a Death Racer or two first. Yeah. I'm trying to think, does he have the Death Racer? He does. He does have the Functionals Death Racer kit. So this kit is the basic kit for the tracked version of a Death Racer. Okay, not the uni wheels like mine. This is like Mrs. Dragon's with the everything in the box, the remote, the whole 9 yards to get you the base model Death Racer. Okay, apparently they're currently sold out. Well, that sucks. But it's about $180. Not bad. Yep, that's all you want. Definitely. But this is going to be a fun one. I bought this. I'm going to be putting this together. It's not a store thing. It's a me thing. And I'm going to put it on display out here and run it around because I've got a lot of RC folks here. If you remember right, like last month, April, I don't know. Yeah, I think last month we did the an RC focused maker meetup. And I have a feeling if I have this here and we have another meetup like that, there's probably going to be a few people looking for kits. So that might be the first LDO kit that I bring into the store. We did make commitments with Daniel over at West 3D. We are going to be bringing in Ambrosia. We're going to bring in some of their ABS ASA colors, but also going to bring in some of their PLAs that don't directly compete with our like glimmers and stuff, shimmers and stuff from EPACs, but complement them in other colors that won't overlap. Used to do a lot with No Limits RC when they had a branch in North Carolina. Nice. Yeah, it was mid-May, correct. So I have a couple of helpful vendors now that have stated, because they know I want to grow and eventually I want to get into more of the, let's not have or a second face that's time delayed at least. I want to get more kits and parts and accessories to help people out with maintaining their older machines, doing custom builds, doing kit builds, stuff like that. It's a lot of inventory to have, and there's MOQs or minimum order quantities that you have to meet. I'm not in a position right now of meeting that, and if I did something like a loan in order to get some MOQ items in from LDO, then it becomes a lot of money tied up that I need to sell quickly. And I don't know if there's as much of an appetite in my direct area for kits, so to speak. So what I am able to do is go through some individuals and be able to get kits from them in smaller quantities so that I can start bringing kits in and build up organically. So you've been to Dennis Anderson's place in North Carolina. Nice. Well, see, I need to come up and visit the garage, and then you need to come down and visit Digital Dragon 3D in the Dragon Den. Because Tinkering Techie will tell you there's a lot of cool stuff to see in the shop here. There's a lot of cool stuff to see and do here in the shop. But yeah, definitely some stuff to do. And we were going to do some building tonight, but we're like, what, an hour in and we haven't touched any type of build stuff yet. Let's try and fix that. Instead of pointing at the Folgertech, let's bring this around here and switch over to the bench side. Come down here and look at the bench. And like I said, this piece right here is the centerpiece, right? It's where the extruder is going to mount to from the top. And this piece will plug in. Sorry for doing the changing here. So this piece is where your extruder sits, and it slides right down into the top, and the two screws that hold the extruder in go through this piece and into the main body. This entire tool head is 3 pieces. The 40-20 or 40-30 fan duct, the main body, and then this plug that comes right down from the top that holds your hot end and your extruder. And the other thing that's kind of hard to see is this piece right here. Okay, this piece right here. So this is your hot end. This piece right here. Let me see if we can get the 3D view. Okay, so this is the main body. The carriage for the rail is on the bottom. Okay. And then this is the top of the extrusion up here. The fans mount here through some heat set inserts, or the fan duct. This prints, if I can get it to go on the right way. Okay. This side prints down, so it prints at an angle. Are you not? Okay, fine. But basically prints like that. And you'll see that there's this hole right here, okay? These 2 holes and the other 2 holes are for mounting it. This hole right here is for a pendaprobe. So he doesn't use a beacon, he uses a pendaprobe for probing the bed. And I believe I have a couple of those still at the house. I'll have to dig for them. If not, they're really, really, really cheap to get hold of. In fact, I might actually have one in a box right over there that I'm looking at now. So this will use a pendaprobe for probing the bed, and this whole hot end and extruder assembly is made to be able to pull straight out of this cavity at the top. So our pendaprobe wires will come up through that cavity and out this side hole right here. This little gap right here is where the hot end wires will come out of and then go right into the board. And we've got some places where we can do some cable management on either side. We'll have the fan that comes in here for cooling. It's really an interesting design. Time to head in for the night? All right. Uh-oh, what did I miss? Hey, Timora, how's it going? Welcome in. I hear rumors of a RepRap festival at Digital Dragon's 3D shop. Southeast RepRap Festival, surfs up. I don't know, but we will definitely have some type of maker meetup. I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily want to call it a RepRap festival because I'm all about highlighting how 3D printing can be used to support any type of maker stuff, right? Whether it's needle art, crocheting, knitting, laser engraving, and doing jigs to make laser engraving quicker and easier so you can pop your stuff down and do batch jobs, right, for laser engraving and stuff. Of course, 3D printing, RC community, all kinds of stuff can be done with 3D printing enabling it. So that is definitely something that we can do. Maybe we'll just do like an open house, an annual open house. Maybe it's in February when we open the store, right? So we may kick off the East Coast season. Now, I wonder, I don't know if they actually hot tighten these when they install them or not. That'd be interesting to know. So this is the M6 version of the conch hot end, which means you've got an actual M6 nozzle on it, which will allow you to take it off and swap nozzles out for different sizes. Right now, this is a 0.4 by default, but you can pop this out and maybe put like a big Undertaker nozzle in it or something like that. It is going to be on a larger printer, so that is an option down the road. Yeah, router woodworking jigs. Eventually, I do have 2 desktop CNCs I need to bring down here. Yeah, please don't forget the like button. Definitely like and subscribe and all of that jazz. So this is literally, how are we going to do this? So that's the front. Do we do it this way? Come in from the back side, and that'll give me the ability to run. That's going to be that. Come on, get in there. You can do it. Does it have to go in that way? Okay, tight fit. White fit. Like I said, this is going to be the front side. Normally we run our wires up the back and the wires kind of go in that back channel, but there's a, looks like there's a bit of a cutout here that will allow some more strain relief for the wires. And this is pretty much centered. You kind of want to run it this way, which allows the, so what I'm saying is like this right here has the split, and this split is basically just to allow it to be compressed some on there, right? But this side has that little notch cut out in it that I think is designed to allow our wires to come up easier. And once again, this is the front side. So on this hot end, there will be places where that wiring can come up and out. I'm just checking that right now to make sure everything pops down in there. Oh, dude, that is so wickedly nice. So let me see if I can get you all turn around here and I'll show you on the FT-6. Flip you around. We'll go back to main bench side view, and I'll try, and I'll try and zoom you in some. We're at full zoom. Full zoom. Okay. So, full zoom. Do that. Here's our hot end setup, right? We've got this decently long shaft down in there. We'll put PTFE tube in here. Don't worry. We've got to put PTFE tube in. We've got our sock on there. Our 2 wires coming up. 2 sets of wires coming up. And once again, the design of this is this goes to the front of the tool head. This side will go to the back. And the motor will be on this side and the front of the extruder on this side. All right? Now, we pull this a little bit closer. I want you guys as close as possible to this when I do this so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry. Okay. So tool head's on there. We already have it belted up. I'm just using zip ties on either side here. And to tension this, I loosened up this side, pulled it over some, ran my belts, and that allowed me then to push this back over and tighten this to get my belt, you know, decently tight. So everything's working nice and smooth. All right. So we'll move this over so you can see. There's a notch cut out in the side right there. And this hole is where the pin to probe wires are going to come up out of that channel and come out through here. And your board's going to sit right here. We're going to take our hot end just like this. We'll bring our wires around to the side and watch how easily this loads up. There's your wires coming out that you can route over to your board, and your 2 screws go down from the top, and you've got your extruder right there. So you take those 2 out, and this whole thing just lifts back up out of there, and you've got full access to your tool head to clear any clog or jam, and you don't have to mess with fans or anything else. The front fan stays in and everything. Hey, Free Heathen, welcome on in. Rating with a party of 17. How you doing, friendo? How you doing? So we've been working on this Folgertech. So this is a machine that Sandhills 3D brought in, aka Lomax. And I had printed these files because at some point after looking at this machine, I was like, I could build this very easily. Or I could take the riff and modify it so it has this upper space to the gantry here so that we can enclose it. Because the end result or concept for this is an enclosed large printer. This is the Folgertech FT-6. So this is 720 by 350 by 400. So massive build volume here, okay? On the FT-6, the carriage and the layer rail is at the top, and all of the hardware, all the mounting point is done with ACM, right? Aluminum composite material, which is very rigid, but I don't know if you can tell on here, but it's also been compressed over time. And that leads to some creep issues and stuff like that. Hey, my Mad Scientist Slack, how's it going? Yes. So let me zoom back out, and we'll do some relooking here. Had something crazy in your ear. Yeah, so the standard Folgertech, which is what we've got here, and I said I was going to zoom out, so let me zoom that back out. So this is the Folgertech FT-6, okay? So the FT-6 is 720 by 350 by 400. So 720 side to side, which is technically the Y, and it has dual Y motors, and it had 6mm belts on it. We're going to convert this with this upgrade set that I'm doing to it to 9mm belts on the long axis. 350 front to back, and that's the X-axis, which we currently have a brand new 6mm genuine Gates GT2 belt on. So dual motors going this way, one motor going this way. This is a Cartesian setup. If you watch my Rift build, which is 300 by 600, same thing. The only difference is this is a single bed, single piece bed. It uses ACM panels everywhere. This is ACM cut out in X shape under each bed with ACM vertical here that's screwed into it, and that provides rigidity to keep it from sagging in the middle here. So pretty decent size. I believe it's, I thought it was 10mm, but it looks like 8mm linear rods, 8mm lead screws. It is a single Z motor. Sorry about the mess here. It's been here, it's been worked on by the owner, and I need the space, so I'm going to get it done. So currently single Z motor, and it does a pulley system underneath, so it's synchronized Z. He feels like he might need to add a second motor. I want to get this up and running and do a bed mesh to see if it truly needs a second motor. If it does, we'll dual Z it. The electronics, and I'll move this around some. Sorry. Let me go back to the bench view. And I will probably turn this a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So what we've done to this point is we've put on this gantry system that Diffusa designed, and that's basically it. We're keeping the same motor mounts and motor mount locations back here, mounted through some ACM panel. We've got new XY joiners, a new idler, end stop, gantry, motor mount, and this piece right here, which is the cable chain mount. So I believe the cable chain is going to come up here and loop down this way. Okay, because that's how I'm going to route it. It does use a narrow cable chain instead of the big monster things here that were just stupid crazy big. Now originally everything that was going to the tool head was home run back to the controller. We're getting rid of that. We're going to do, this design calls for an EBB 36. I think we're going to use a Stealth Hawk, Stealth Hawk. A Nighthawk 36 board, USB. So we'll be good there. But I'm going to turn this sideways some, and the camera froze, of course. Let's see if we can get the camera to unfreeze. So watch yourself as we change views around. See if we can get the camera to unfreeze, or at least freeze over here on this side. So this is the electronics section. We've pulled the old board out and we've mounted the Octopus. This would be a USB extension to a B. We can't use that. So I'll try and find a USB-A extension that mounts like a standard PC jack, and we'll get rid of this. It looks like the display was HDMI, so we might be able to kludge this into the Big Tree Tech Raspberry Pi that we're going to put in this. We might still get a display out of it. And of course, this will connect into the Raspberry Pi as well. We will have the USB adapter, so we'll bring power in. This side will connect to the Raspberry Pi, and then there will be a 6-pin connector that will run up to the tool head. We did have to do an extension for that, and I did custom make that extension, so get the bed wires out of here. So I did custom make an extension cable for this and verified that it is correct. So that's why we're going to try and reuse the wiring that we had and just route it through a new, smaller cable chain. So yeah, SSR with a big, beefy aluminum heat sink on it. This big 360 watt, 24 volt. Quite honestly, I hate how thick this is. We may look at putting a different 24 volt power supply in there, a Meanwell, that an LRS that's a little bit thinner. And I'll give us some more room in that. But the nice thing is, this is our electronics bay. There will be a fan on this side that can pull air in and out. And then we can finish off the paneling on all sides. And we now have an enclosed printer that will work. And majority of these parts are printed in, I believe these were the PET CF. I reprinted this in ASA simply because the geometry was not coming out very nicely in the PET CF. But yeah, this is a pretty big printer, and the plan was to enclose this so that Lomax can print large like dash pieces and automotive pieces in it. So that's the plan for this one. But this little hot end design right here, I think is amazing. Right? It's 2 screws, you take the whole thing out. 2 screws, you can take the hot end out. This is the Fadis Conch Plus, or excuse me, the Fadis Conch M6 style. So it's got a standard V6 nozzle on it, which means we can put we can take this out and put an 8mm nozzle in it or a 6mm. We can put a alpha nozzle on it. We can put a Undertaker nozzle on it. There's so many things that we can do because we've got a V6. And I just answered my question. This has not been hot tight. So remind me, we need to hot tighten this. That's going to be fun. Well, the good thing is it comes way down, so it'll be easy enough to hot tighten this. This will use a Penda probe. The original designer was like, do not ask for other hot end or probe combinations, because he says, this is designed around my workflow, and that's it. So that's what we will go with. So while I'm here, what I do want to do is see if this Nighthawk board lines up, will mount up, and the holes are going to line up beautifully, and it doesn't look like anything's going to get in the way connector wise. So yeah, we're going to be good to mount the Nighthawk 36 up and that hot end setup with the orbiter. And the nice thing is if he wants, he can add the orbiter runout sensor and have filament run out and filament loading, which will be nice, especially if it's enclosed. You route your filament in, and as soon as it detects it through the sensor, it will heat up the hot end and pull in your filament automatically. So that'll be something really cool. Being messy is part of the creative process. Yes. And like I said, this is a bit of a mess. I will tell you, we've been cleaning on this machine a lot. I don't know how long Lomax had the machine before it came down to me. But it has definitely been a little loved, right? So we'll have to work on some of that. But definitely cleaning it up, and like I said, just getting it ready. I'm gonna see if the corner brackets, the metal aluminum corner brackets that I have, will fit on there without impeding the panels. And I'll probably put a lot of those in there just to stiffen up that frame some, so that we can remove the edge ACM panels eventually. And then there might be a couple that we'll have to print and add some changes to potentially, just to make some access holes. But yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about that I might do is, like, do I undo some of that stuff and see if there's good holes where we can just put a DIN rail across that electronics bay and mount stuff on DIN rails? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If not, VHB for the win, because VHB always works. What length screw do we need? Since people weren't here at the beginning, let me switch over to the main view. So we printed a Raven crest. These files are from Titan 3D. This thing is pretty massive, right? Like, it's a couple of feet long. Weighs a decent amount, but pretty massive. This was printed in bamboo gray PLA, and I believe this was sunflower yellow for the accent stripes, which are printed and just glued on. And I did glue some of the stuff together, but I also did all the screws in here as well. So yeah, we've got just about all of it. We've got the Raven crest, we've got the Titan Falcon, aka Millennium Falcon, we've got an Imperial Destroyer, we've got the TIE Fighter. I think I need to reprint a couple of pieces on that to get the stand back up and bring that in. And then, what else? We're doing Grogu and the Hunter right now, aka Mandalorian. So we're doing Grogu and the Mandalorian right now, also from Titan 3D, part of their Titan Pals collection. So yeah. Hey, Maker Viking, how's it going? How's it going? And I need to take a bunch of this stuff and post it up on Tinker Atlas. And if you're not subscribed to Tinker Atlas, if you're not out there, go check out Tinker Atlas. It is another awesome site where we can go and build our community that's agnostic of just straight up STL platform, right? So we've got, I know there's communities out there and through some Maker World and whatever, but those are open to the whims of the companies that run them and can go away at any point in time or can get locked down at any point, you know. So go and check out Tinker Atlas and support building a community. How many rolls of gray did that take? That file is 100%. I did not scale that. Okay. When I get Grogu and Mandalorian done, they're not scaled. They're 100% what the files say they are. Okay. I would have to. I will post it on Discord. So when you buy the files and they give you the you get all the files, there's an assembly manual just like Lego builds, and it has in there, it's really cool. Let me grab the ones for the Titan Pals, they're the Mushroom Trio is what they call them. It's the Mario stuff. And unfortunately, these they got a cease and desist and they had to remove these. But you get these filament guides. So you get the picture of Mario, and then you get all the filament colors that are used. These are bamboo colors, and it tells you how much weight. So like for Mario, the beige, which is his face and ears and stuff, is 421 grams. The blue, which is his overalls, is 765. The red, so the hat and his shirt, is 945 grams. So this is kind of cool that it gives you the colors and the amount of filament that you're going to need, so you know how much to go get if you're printing it for a project, or you can look and see how much you have on hand and then see if you have enough or need to go get colors and stuff like that. So far they've all been great except for the child, which is Grogu. Okay, one of the colors does not even exist. So one of the colors they list does not exist in bamboo at all. And then it says to use bright green for the body and sunflower yellow for the nails on his fingers. I don't know about you, but that does not seem the right color for Grogu. And the color that they were calling out for his robe is the one that I couldn't find. So I kind of went off script a little bit. And what I am using is EPAC's light brown for the robe. And instead of bright green, we went with EPAC's, this is pastel mint for the head. So the head is done in 4 pieces. There's a line right across this here. So the top half is one piece, the bottom half is another, and then you'll have your 2 ears. Your eyes are glued in, so none of it's all single color build plates. So yeah, and then you'll have pegs like these that you'll glue in that you'll use for alignment, as well as little like square tabs that you'll use for aligning as well. There's like 3 square tabs that go into the head unit and each ear. But yeah, so there's Grogu's face. I've got the lower portion. I've got his one arm where he's holding up his right arm to do the force thing. The top, we had an epic fail on. I wasn't paying attention and I did not realize that my Cheaty box was configured with all the same colors instead of me assigning colors, because the way filament rollover works on the AMS and the Cheaty box is, as long as it is the same manufacturer or like generic PLA and the same color that you assign in the interface on the printer, it will roll over from spool to spool. I thought I had assigned different colors. Apparently, during one of the power outages that we had, I did not realize that it defaulted them all back to the gray PLA that I had previously when doing the Titan Crest. So it finished the light brown, it ran out, and it switched over to the pastel mint that I still had loaded in there. So I stopped the print because I couldn't fix it any other way. And I wasn't going to go with just having one vertical line there that didn't make any sense. So, once again, just we'll pop the, all right, these have obviously been in there for a bit, but you'll pop the ports out of the bottom skirts here, and as you see, they hollowed it out as much as possible to reduce material. I'm just breaking these off. They won't be fully out, but which way do you go to line up? That way. Where are you at? No. So they just go in, and if I break all the supports out, I can put this all the way down on there. And you can use glue or not, but gives you an idea about how big he's probably going to be. Is about like, probably somewhere around like that big. So now hopefully I didn't just wedge this in there. There we go. So yeah, fun times when you have, when your printer does what the printer was designed to do, but it's not what you wanted the printer to do, because printers are dumb machines. They will do what they think you told it to do, not what you intended it to do. So hold on to your butts. Uh-oh. Why do we need to hold on to our butts? What are you going to do that requires us to hold on to our butts? All right. So one thing that we're going to have to do is the extension cable that I had created over there was for the O2S board. And the one that we're going to use, being the Nighthawk, may have a different pinout. So we got to double check, because this is a different size board, right? So we need to double check and make sure that the 6 pin is still pinned out the same way between the two. And if it is, great. We just mount this board instead of the other board. If it isn't, then I'll have to depin. It's just a microfit connector. It's just depinning and repinning in the right spot. Jedi Spidey subscribed to Tier 1 for 22 months. Thank you, Spidey. I appreciate that. Uh-oh, there we go. You'll not do anything, but surely something is about to happen. Well, thank you for the heads up, Mad Scientist Slack. Liz! How's it going, Liz? Big shout out, big hugs. Hey, Big Jano, how's it going? Mad Scientist Slack. Tulsa Skin. Barking Cauldron. Fix 'em Dude. Hey, Fix 'em Dude. Pete, how's it going? Reprinted. Hey, Clown Hammer, how's it going? Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome, 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 Raiders. Tech Jeeper, Mad Owl, Critter 42, Kevin. How's it going, my friend? I hope you're feeling better. Hey, Engineer, how's it going? You have raised $1,700 for St. Jude today. Holy hat. Congratulations, Liz. Congrats. If you don't mind, send me a Discord link and I will contribute as well. If it's still open and I am able to. Feeling great now? Good. Yeah, I know you were feeling bad on Sunday. Me and my son and Mrs. Dragon went to Culver's for lunch on Saturday, and that was no bueno for me, and like almost immediately. And Mrs. Dragon was feeling poor the next, that night and the next morning. But we were both fine by Sunday. You're going until July 16th. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Congrats on that, Liz. Something in the water? Could be something in the water. Something in your water. I heard you were taking ice out of an ice chest. But yeah, we've just been sitting here chit-chatting. We were talking about our Grogu build that we're working on. We kind of we had to go off colors because the colors called for do not seem to exist or did not make sense. Like it was calling for bamboo bright green for the head and face, and then like yellow, sunflower yellow for the fingernails. It just didn't seem right. So we went with Epac's light brown for the robe, and this is Pastel Mint by Epax. I think this came out a lot better color choice. Uh-oh, we got a hype train coming in. Well, thank you. Sandhills with a follow. Hey, Sandhills, how's it going? Max 4 is updating firmware, but stuck at 0%. What should you do? Wait. That's the best thing I can tell you. I have not updated any of mine. They've been wanting to update, and I keep saying cancel. And it's annoying because, like, the screen will go dark, right? It's in mid-print. The screen goes dark, and you tap the screen. It comes up and says, "Do you want to update?" And I'm like, not in the middle of the print, but I have learned now to always touch kind of like the top edge of the top right edge of the screen, not right in the middle, because I'm so fearful that I'm going to wake the screen up and hit that button mid-print. Daydreaming in 3D colors, how's it going? Oh, if you love what Grogu's looking like, here's the other latest print. So this is the Titan Crest, aka the Razor Crest. And this is printed at 100% file size. She's big, right? She is big. But we've got the Razor Crest now. We've got the Imperial Destroyer. We've got the Millennium Falcon. And we had the aircraft carrier. So, and we're doing Grogu and the Mandalorian right now. So we've got some big stuff that we've been working on, project print-wise, with more to come. Definitely more to come. Sorry, I'm trying to move some things around. Yeah, hey Barking Cauldron, how's it going? Hey Sandhills, you gave in. Hopefully, what y'all working on? This is as far as I've built tonight on stream. We've been going for almost 2 hours. And I've taken a hot end and shoved it into a printed part. Would you like me to show you what this goes to, Sandhills and everybody? So it goes to Sandhills FT-6. So we're doing some files from Diffusa, and he has one of these, and he provided files about 3 years ago to do this update. And all this is this gantry gets updated, and there are these pulley supports. So by default, the y-axis, which is this long 700 plus millimeter axis, is got tension or pulleys at the end, the idlers, and they're just screws going, a screw stack that goes down through some ACM. And it's not very well supported. Get this around a bit. So we've got some printed supports now. It's in PET carbon fiber material. I've got to take them back apart because those are the standard 6 millimeter belts. And this design actually calls for upgrading to 9 millimeter or 10 millimeter belts on this long axis. So I'm going to do that. I just ordered some more belt material. But we've got our X belt back installed with the idler. Basically what I did was I got one side done, figured out about where it was at, loosened these up, moved it over a couple of millimeters, got the other side of the belt done, and then just push this back over, tighten it down, and that gives us our tension. This doesn't have to be stupid crazy. It just has to be able to move well. And in this design, the linear rail goes from being at the top to being at the bottom, and it's only 3 pieces. You've got this head mount unit here. There's a fan duct that comes into the back with a, we'll put a like 40-20 or 40-30 fan on the back here, 30 being the thickness. This mounts right there. And as you see, that fan's just going to be clearing the belt, and it'll clear in the back here. And then we've got this. So this is our hot end, and we'll use a Orbiter 2.5 extruder at the top, and simply drops down in there. And there's a cutout right here for the wires. So it fits down in there. You'll put your extruder on top. You'll have your thermistor and heater wires. There's a little hole right here. It's hard to see. Let me scooch everybody in. Okay. So I scooch everybody in. So once again, there is 2 bolts, and you can pull your extruder off and pull your hot end out with just 2 bolts. 2 bolts that go through your hot end into some hex nuts. Sorry. 2 bolts mount your hot end through some hex nuts. This is a Fadus conch with a V6 nozzle in it. So this is a 0.4 hardened nozzle. You can swap it out for a 6, an 8, a 1, whatever you want. Hey Zombie, thanks for the resub for 33 months. That's awesome. So this is the, I'll say the maker version with ferrules and a JST connector. This came out of the Jabberwocky kit, is what I'm using here. But there's a cutout right here where my finger's at that allows these wires to come out of this cavity. And there's another hole right here. It uses a Penda probe that PINDA, we're going to feed the wires up from underneath and through this hole. Then we'll be able to cut them to length and pin them out. And we'll set that PINDA just like we would a Prusa, right? We put this down there. We set the nozzle right to the bed. We put a 3mm hex key underneath there. Pull the PINDA right down on top of that hex key. That's your initial setup for a PINDA probe, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So yeah, that's the totality of your hot end right there. We'll have a, I think that's a 3010 fan in front to provide cooling, and we're going to switch it up with a Nighthawk 36 board, right? Nighthawk 36 board, once again from the Jabberwocky kit that I had. And this mounts right here where the EBB 36 would be, and all your tool head wire goes here. We're going to bring one XT32+2. We'll bring it up around here, and I believe there is a cable chain that goes here. If not, it's a no, I don't think there's a cable chain that goes this way, though we can add it back in. There is a cable chain that goes here. We'll go down and around on the bottom rail. So yeah, we're gonna make some progress here. I believe most of my stuff for the 9mm belt for the Y-axis comes tomorrow. And we're just gonna go buck wild on this tomorrow since it's Father's Day and try and get this done and up and running within the next week or so. So let me pull this back to not so crazy. Here we go. And then, like I said, all of the electronics are down in this side here. So we've already got the Octopus board in here. We'll have a Big Tree Tech Pi that will go in here somewhere. And then we'll have the adapter for the Nighthawk, for the USB. And that'll be it. We're just doing a lot of cleanup. I believe I have a PINDA probe at the house. If not, I'll go ahead and order one. It shouldn't be that hard to get a PINDA probe. So you'll try to come by? Sure. Jake wants to come by? Awesome. Awesome. Come on by. Zombie's already lurked out, but I believe I heard Zombie is going to be making one of the other projects that we're going to be doing. So let me come over here to the full display. So once again, the FT-6 we're working on is a 720 by 350 by 400mm build volume. And, with a commercial, that stinks. And I'm going to try and do some corner brackets as well. I know I have a bunch of them at the house I'll bring in. I think they're black, but that's fine. But I'm going to do as much corner bracket bracing as I can because these ACM panels, these ACM panels right here are structural. Okay? There are three-way corner brackets up here, but the gantry rails here are held on only by these panels. So in order to be able to take these panels off and actually fully enclose this, we're going to need to go ahead and put 90-degree corners on a lot of these places to make sure that gantry doesn't move on us, basically. So we need to, I'll bring in those and we'll put a bunch of corner brackets in there so we can take the ACM panels off when he goes to add full panels to this thing to enclose it so he can do ASA prints. Yes, Sunday to noon to 7, that is correct. So we should be here tomorrow. I am going to be open tomorrow. That is my plan. We did not close for Father's Day because what better thing can I do for Father's Day but, hang out and do the things that I want to do. right? So we'll be here. So the FT-6 is what we're working on. Funny enough, I'm not sure if it's an FT5 or an FT5R2, but there was an FT5 at MRRF that somebody was selling for like 250 bucks. And as soon as I slowed down and looked at it, Miss Dragon turned to me, gave me the side eye, and said no. So I didn't, but I really wanted to. I really wanted to. But she knows we got plenty of projects and stuff here to work on. So, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a, like I said, an orbiter. This is a 2.5. It doesn't have the filament runout sensor, but you can add the filament sensor on the orbiter Lomax, and it should plug into the Nighthawk board no problem. And that will give you like auto load. So the filament runout sensors on the orbiters are really nice. As soon as it detects filament coming in, it runs a macro. It's like a button push, and it runs a macro to do a load. And then when you can hit a button on it, and it will do the unload sequence. So I don't think I have one of those here, so we'd have to get one of those. That's something else that you want on it. We can do that after we get it up and running. So Lomax, do you want to see the other thing I'm going to do? I guarantee you're going to like it. I'm going to come down here to one of my favorite sites of all time, as noted by the fact that I can hit one key and get to the site. We're going to be building one of these. You can build it as a 6x6 with portal axles and all. 4x4. You can add the camper, or you can do the flatbed. It's all 3D printed. The tires come in the kit. The motors come in the kit. You can get it with the remote and the, like, you can get it with the battery, the remote, and all that. But if you have the battery and remote, you can get the light kit, which isn't, they don't have the light kit shipping yet, but you can get a light kit that won't have the remote and the battery charger. And it's like $330 for that, I believe. So it's $500 for the full kit, or the light will be about $340, $350. You do also have to buy the files. The files, there's almost 600 prints, like 600 printed files across 101 build plates. And you have to buy the printed STLs from Casadio, which is about another $50. So, and I can probably get some of these kits here. I think, yeah. Is there a beginner kit that isn't so expensive? Well, these are currently out of stock, but you can get a Death Racer kit. It's not a Unimog, but you can get a Death Racer kit and build your own Death Racer for about 180 bucks plus filament to do all your printed parts. And the nice thing is once you have a Death Racer, and you can go a little bit crazy on your Death Racer, right? You can customize the files all you want. This fits on the tail, the bed of the Unimog. They actually had one at MRRF driving around with a Death Racer on the back of it. Your husband was bitten by the bug at MRRF? Yep. You hope to design some affordable RC stuff in the next year? Yeah. Yeah. The Unimog is going to be big, though. It is a big vehicle. Like I said, just for scale, you've got this here with the bed on, you know, the tailgate, and it has a full-size death racer on the back. In fact, if I go to his site over here, he's got a few other pictures. Right, so this is the 4x4 Overland camper style. And all the parts are in the kit, so you can do either the 4x4 or the 6x6, right? Oh, come on. There's some of the printed parts. More of the printed parts. The wheels will come in the kit, so you don't have to print, or I'm sorry, the tires. You do have to print the wheel hubs, but the tires and stuff will come in the kit. All the gears, I'm probably going to print my gears out of nylon. Yeah, I'm sure Doug will want one. That's why I was going to say I'm going to build one of these, and then Doug's going to lose it and want one. I'll have to get like 4 or 5 kits. This is the designer of the files of this particular build. There are other builds that are out there. Full independent suspension, full portal axles. Yeah. You actually print the little jack stands and everything as well. That's kind of cool. I thought somewhere there was a picture that actually has his he has his he's got a Subaru WRX that he has on the bed. So the Subaru RX is another one that he built. But yeah, this thing is so flipping cool. So I've got mine on ordered. It'll come in when it comes in. I got to start building all the parts, and I got to start digging through the manual because I'm pretty sure we start off with the whole undercarriage. So that'll give me stuff to start printing. All right, go see your wife tonight, and then if you stop by tomorrow, you'll get to see me and the wifey. Hey, Penguin Makers, how's it going? Yeah, the filament sensor is nice. I've got it on my rat rig. I've got it on several machines that I run the orbiter on. The only thing that drives me batty with the orbiter, okay, the only thing. Let me go ahead and I'll take this one apart, or take this one apart. Take the tensioner out. And let me see if I can't turn this around. And we'll use the bench side. Well, bench side camera. Okay. So the bottom side of this has a metal tube. Okay. Down in there, metal tube that you can see right at the edge of my finger. That's the filament inlet pass-through at the bottom. It's great unless you get a blob tip. Okay? So, on a filament cutter, this works awesome. Why? Because it's going to cut the filament between the tool head and the extruder, and you get a nice, cleanly cut 1.75 millimeter tip to the filament. When you don't have a filament cutter, you have a slightly expanded tip. So unless it does good ramming, you're going to have a little bit of an extended tip blob end. And if it pulls it out quickly, then it's still soft enough that the PTFE tube will shape it and keep it within tolerance so it'll make it through this metal tube. If not, you wind up taking this off so you can cut the tip off and then pull it through. That's the only annoying thing I've got with the Orbiter 2.5 and or 2 or 2.5. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen enough that it gets annoying. So my default for all my tensioners, I run it in until it stops. Don't try and crank it and torque it. Just, light fingers until it stops. And then I grab hold of it and I flip the extruder one full turn. That gives you your beginning tension and you can go from there. Tip for the day. And once again, we technically sort of built something. We haven't put screws in it yet, but it's built, right? I need to go find hex nuts. I know I got them. I just have to go get some hex nuts so I can actually put screws in here and we'll say that we've done something. Probably run PTFE tube down in here before. Of the 2.0 millimeter variety, which I thought I had a little bit of here. Yeah. It ran away. We'll find some. Yeah, that's not going to be long enough. Okay. So folks, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. We chatted about several projects going on. We talked about MRRF and getting to see like Liz and giving her lots of hugs to make up for not seeing her MRRF. I think the next show that we're planning on going to is Formnext in Germany. We're not planning on going to Lone Star Expo. And at this point, we're not planning on 3D Printopia in Philadelphia either, simply because we're making a trip at the end of the year to Formnext. And that's pretty much a week-long trip. It's not a weekend thing. It's during the week because it's an actual trade show. So we'll be going out there for that. Heading out for the night? Okay. Hope all the dads out there have a wonderful Father's Day tomorrow. Yes, sir. And normally tomorrow would be first Sunday maker meetup. Of course, we're not doing that because it's family holiday. We definitely want all the dads to spend time with their families. This whole weekend, we are doing a sale on filament and accessories. So if you have time and you want to come down to the shop, that's great. Look forward to seeing you all then. But for now, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So thank you, everybody, for being here. So glad everybody was able to stop by tonight. It's great chatting with everybody. Liz did ask for a Saturday morning stream. Look forward to it. There will be a Saturday morning stream soon. Ish. TM. Soon TM. Yes, please. Yes, there will be a Saturday morning stream. I almost thought about doing it this morning, and I had people walk through the door at 10 a.m. So with the store opening at 10, I don't want to be hot mic'd when having people come in, but we'll see. There may be a day where we slide the starting hours back until noon on a Saturday, and that gives me at least 2 hours in the morning to stream. So look forward to seeing that. But everybody, thank you for being here. Everybody have a great night. We're not going to raid out over on Twitch. We're just going to go ahead and call this. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me on Twitch, YouTube, And for those of you that are in the area and can make it out to the store, it really does mean a lot to me to chat with you all, both on here and see you come in face to face. It's a great time. So have a good night. All the fathers out there, if I don't see or talk to you beforehand, have a great Father's Day tomorrow. And, you know, big hugs. Everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.